Native Instruments have just released Vocal Colors, a great sounding instrument developed by Galaxy Instruments, who are behind several other NI products like Noir and Piano Colors. And obviously this is a kind of a sequel to Piano Colors, it's the same concept, but using vocal recordings to create amazingly rich textures. In this video we're auditioning some presets, making a beat with it and going through some of the features, but let's be honest, this is just a small glimpse of the endless sound design possibilities of this instrument. The amazing sound and possibilities do come at a cost though. This instrument isn't cheap in terms of price, nor is it light on CPU usage. In fact, this was the first plugin that managed to overload my M1 Max CPU. Now granted, this was only happening on some of the patches when playing big chords with at least 5 voices, and I also like to run super low buffer sizes, so you may not have this problem, but just bear this in mind. Otherwise, the amount of work, creativity and even artistry that has gone into this thing is impressive. It's a Kontakt instrument, but it works with the free Kontakt player too, so you don't need to own Kontakt. And you can check it out from the link in the description of the video. If you get it through that link, you are supporting the channel at no extra cost to you. It's an affiliate link. And Native Instruments did provide me with early access to a free copy of this plugin. However, this is not a paid video. And also, as I always say, get it only if you need it and if you feel this is something that you would use. I'm not trying to convince you to buy it. I know a lot of you have too much stuff. Yeah, I see you, you have too much stuff. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, cool, so already got my drums going. And I've got the DV Joins R preset from Vocal Colors. I'm gonna record a chord progression with it. Okay, so I also got this other preset called Memory Lane. I'm gonna record some melody with it. Alright, I got Hive for the bass. So really like how lush these vocal presets sound from Vocal Colors. Maybe a bit too lush here. I'm just gonna sidechain into the drums because they fill up a lot of room in the mix. I'm just gonna add this pad sound as well. Okay, I'm just gonna drag this to the group so it will also be sidechained to the drums. We tried to grab a lead from Duet. It got some really cool leads. Okay, so Vocal Colors consists of layer 1, layer 2 and the particles engine. These are the 3 main sound sources. You also got a fully customizable arpeggiator with an immense amount of control and a basic global section with EQ, compression and some basic settings. So here we are in layer 1, and so the first thing is that we can add a source for each layer. And so the sources can be one shot, like this one. A sustained sound. We can add a loop, so this would be something, a rhythmic phrase. By the way, with loops, as we go here, we can change what part of the sample we're gonna loop and how long our loop is gonna be. And the form and shift allows us to change the timbre of the voice without changing the pitch. So these are independent in this instrument, which is really cool. You got this pitch slide. And these instruments sound really white in the stereo field because they're double tracked, which makes the sound big and lush. You can of course use the single tracked sources. You instantly lose this stereo width, but the double tracked ones sound amazing, especially for pads and chords. Let's go and choose a different preset, maybe a rhythm. And I found that these rhythmic presets can actually overload my CPU. Contact 7 is pretty CPU heavy actually, but so far I haven't really managed to overload my CPU with it. But this instrument, especially these rhythmic phrases, they actually do that. I guess they use the tone machine or the time machine in Contact. I'm not sure, but they're probably doing some super high quality real-time time stretch. Just for a reference point, I've got my buffer in Ableton set at 64 samples. So if I set it to 128, it's still skipping a bit. And so 256. It's fine with 256, however, on my M1 Mac Mini, I'm always using the 64 because the latency is really low and it feels really snappy. And this is the first instrument that has ever made me increase my buffer size. Just keep this in mind. And the M1 Mac is pretty powerful, but what we are getting here is it's reaching the limit of its single core performance, because if we look at the CPU meter on the track that I've got vocal colors loaded down here, and if we go back to the 64 buffer size, so you can see that this track in particular is overloading the CPU, and this is because in Ableton Live, I'm not sure how it works in other DAWs, but a single track can only be processed with one core of your CPU, meaning that even if you got amazing multi-core performance, as all these M1, M2 processors have, they may not be able to cope with the single core load that you get at such low latency. I'm curious to hear from people that got maybe the M1 Max processors or the M1 Pro, because these have the exact same single core performance. So theoretically, they should exhibit this behavior as well. Not that 256 buffer is a huge problem, but I'm used to working at really low latencies, so just bear this in mind that this Contact instrument is pretty CPU heavy, but these rhythmic phrases are really interesting, and you can find really nice pockets of groove and rhythm and texture just by changing the starting point and the range of the loop. Sounds absolutely incredible. So we got some modulation effects on this tab, the channel effects like EQ, dynamics, and reverb, and some LFOs on the motion tab. And this is only a single layer. What we can do now is just add layer 2. Alright, so it's still overloading my CPU a bit. I'm gonna go to 512. That is way too much. I'm gonna turn on the particles engine, and this is like I said, it's a sort of rhythmic groove thing, but it can also be used to add just textures to your presets. Get some really nice movement with this one. Actually, I'm gonna turn down layer 2 and gonna just use the particles engine just to hear how it sounds. Pretty sweet. So the arpeggiator can be set to arpeggiate layer 1, layer 2, or both. Let's try it on layer 2. Okay, so let me try another sound for layer 1, maybe the reverse thing.